Hello, good evening, and thanks for watching Times News. I'm Chisomo Chihana. First, the headlines. Ministry of Education puts on hold construction of 383 low-cost classrooms for rural schools. National Organization of Nurses and Midwives complains of increased attacks against its members in health facilities. And 5 Chinese nationals sentenced last year for trafficking wildlife products and firearms appeal against the conviction. We have these and other stories. Stay tuned. In our first story, Ministry of Education has temporarily put on hold the construction of 383 low-cost classrooms.
The education process of the classrooms has been based on schools with high enrollment and with a shortage of space to the tune of 1.3 billion kwacha. Nyalonje said the verification exercise will involve Education Committee of Parliament and the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19. She added that based on the need, government was supposed to build 1,200 classrooms at the cost of 4.2 billion kwacha. Chairperson for Education Committee of Parliament, Brenix Kaisi, said the committee has welcomed the development. According to Kaisi, it seems the ministry used old data in coming up with the schools that could benefit, and there were a lot of complaints from the members of Parliament as a number of constituencies were missing on the list. Apart from the construction of the classroom blocks, the 5 billion kwacha, which was part of the 17.5 billion kwacha, the ministry said it will also provide boreholes, chalkboards, personal protective materials, and recruitment of auxiliary teachers, among other activities.
The National Organization of Nurses and Midwives in Malawi, NONEM, has complained of increased attacks and abuses against its members in health facilities across the country. NONEM President Saulos Chilima says the organization is alarmed by the frequency of reports it is getting on the matter. Mande Pondani reports.
Speaking during a press briefing in Blantyre, Chilima says NOM has linked with shock and disappointment that nurses, midwives and other healthcare workers in the country continue to be subjected to verbal, social and physical abuse and also public ridicule occasioned due to false rumors surrounding the COVID-19 pandemic. He says reports received indicate that such acts are being perpetrated by guardians and social media users due to misconception about COVID-19, among other reasons. Chilima wonders why the public and the system has waged war on nurses at a time when they are needed the most, hence threatening that they will withdraw their labor should the vice continue. Flanked by Secretary General for the Malawi Congress of Trade Unions, Dennis Kalekeni, Chilima cited an extreme case in which a nurse was molested and physically assaulted by a group of guardians of a patient admitted to Queen Elizabeth Central Hospital recently.
I mentioned strongly in the press briefing on the current physical assault that a nurse was beaten up at Queen Elizabeth Central Hospital in the course of duty when she was controlling traffic coming into the patient's onto the patient ward. She was physically beaten up, and this cannot be condoned and cannot be tolerated at all. But this is above the other verbal abuses where nurses, midwives are being molested, that are injecting the COVID-19 virus on people, wanting them to die because they get money at each death. That this behavior should stop. As regards the impact, if this sort of behavior continues, nurses, midwives are already stressed up, are already emotional and already mentally disturbed. What will happen is they will wither. So when they wither, they will withdraw from the service provision.
On his part, Kalekeni condemned the attacks, saying it is unfortunate for the public to be hating on people who are sacrificing themselves in an effort to save other people's lives. Meanwhile, according to NOM, over 500 nurses have contracted the coronavirus, with 10 losing their lives, including a senior nursing lecturer.
Minister of Lands and Housing Kezim Sukwa has stopped the sale of Nkozo Farm of African Investment to Trofa Limited, saying the matter has been referred to the Attorney General for legal advice. The minister said his preliminary understanding of the land selling process makes him suspect there is usage of outdated legal provision of 1971. From Zuzu, Sam Kalimira reports.
Msugwa disclosed this when he met concerned communities led by Rumpi Civil Society Organization Governance Network on Friday. Through the organization, the communities complained that Nkhozo Farm is a public land that was meant to be an established settlement scheme. The minister said the 1.5 billion kwacha price tag which the farm is pegged for sale is suspicious, considering that the farm is being sold to a foreign investor.
They legally followed up the process of sale. They gave the 21-day advertisement. However, as a minister, what I noted was that in the advertisement, it was indicated that they were going to buy and sell the land at 1.5 billion, when in fact they bought that land at 1.25 billion. So that's another issue that has actually compelled me to withhold this type of land.
Rumpi Civil Society Organization Governance Chairperson Jai Kanyondo commended the government for
in facilitating for developmental works in their wards. In an interview, project officer under the Strengthened Urban Governance Project, Robert Ndovi, said the communities need to be empowered on how they can lobby and account for developmental works.
Projects that are taking place in the areas are substandard, and some of the projects were not finished during the last period of implementation. So that tells that the communities were not participating. If they were participating, they could have been able to be following up what is happening.
In his remarks, one of the participants from Zdawaingwe ward, Enoch Shirwa, said public expenditure tracking is a challenge in the wards because duty bearers are reluctant to provide information on developmental works and rarely turn up at activities which involve them.
Lots of challenges in terms of trying to find out how the funds have been used in our communities. For example, when you try to ask the councillor, maybe he doesn't show up, you go to the city assembly, normally they don't give you the right information, or sometimes they don't even attend to you.
Mzusire Council is the main stakeholder in the project, including other stakeholders such as community-based organizations, civil society governance actors, and the business community.
5 Chinese nationals who were sentenced last year to combined 56 years imprisonment for trafficking wildlife products and firearms have applied to the High Court to appeal against the conviction. Lawyer representing the Chinese nationals, Crispin Darama, asked the High Court in Lilongwe on Thursday that the convictions be quashed. Rebecca Shimjega has more in this report, read by Audrey Kapalamula.
Last year, Principal Resident Magistrate Florence Segandiana gave 56 years imprisonment to Queen Wa Zhang and Liao Yuan for being found with rhino horns and illegal firearms.
We made an appeal to the High Court on 2 issues. First, it's in relation to the conviction. We had 5 appellants, but we withdrew 1 appeal. The other one was sentenced to 7 years, and the other one, the 2 were sentenced to 7 years each, and the other 2 to 11 years. So we are appealing against conviction because some of them were convicted for possessing pieces of rhino horn which were not found with them. They were found in